Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit of MLB and then a little bit of NBA. Tough MLB slate. I feel like we've had a couple in a row that feel fairly tough, which means that you can go a lot of different ways with it. Um, Basically, I'll go through my pitching. On FanDuel, I've got a couple big entries, and I'm using Otani and Kirby on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I am going to be using. I have 25% Logan Webb, 27% Andrew Heaney, 35% George Kirby, 25% Otani, and wait for it, the Brandon Fat play. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly right. I'm going to bet that he doesn't give up 4 home runs again tonight. This kid had incredible numbers in the minors. He's a top pitching prospect for Arizona, one of the top in baseball. I am going to take the 5,400 and roll with it. And that's just the way it's going to be. So that's pretty much what I'm doing as far as pitching. I do have a couple of other sprinkles, and I'll just update those in 1 second. And then we'll get to stacks, and then you guys can fire on and say hello and also drop in questions whenever. Oh, I have 15% Schmidt. I have 10% Giolito because of the weather in that game. If the weather's okay and we get a totally different weather report, and I know it's like a fully okay, I'm going to be into Giolito, and I'm going to be into some White Sox. Mostly the righties because of where the wind's coming from. That's pretty much what I'm doing with that. Stacks, I am highest on Atlanta, San Diego, Minnesota, and that whole game in Minnesota I have a lot of interest in, and I feel like it's going to be overlooked a little bit on the other side. A little bit of weather earlier seemed bad, but crosswind, 71 degrees, still an upgrade for San Diego from where they've been playing. I'm not saying that Varland and Waka are that awful, but I think these lineups are both capable of putting up a big number here. And I like sort of attacking that game. The Giants are, excuse me, the Giants are my other team. It comes with a big caveat that you have like 4 guys who legitimately probably will get pinch hit for. The one thing is, though, with Corbin, and this is a good end, well, it's, I guess, a good thing when you're stacking against him, too. He tends to throw a lot of pitches, even if he's getting shelled. So you might still get 3 at-bats from these guys before the relief pitcher comes in. And if you're up by enough, then maybe the guys stay in and they don't make those switches. That's just the one thing I want to throw out there. But they have too many good lefties on the bench to imagine they don't play like 13 guys most of the time here. I have a lot of the Dodgers more as one-offs. Chris Taylor, Will Smith, Mookie Betts being my favorite 3, and I will mix in some Freeman and some Muncy. I have a little bit of 10%. I'd say I have Milwaukee stacks actually. Which is kind of feels weird against Syndergaard, but I actually think this Milwaukee, they've got a pretty explosive offense, and you've got some stolen base upside. So I'm totally cool with getting a little bit of exposure, even though I probably don't want to go full 5-man. Probably want to be more like a 3-4-man in general with Milwaukee tonight. So position by position, catcher, I have. It's going to be in stacks a lot.
Cheapbot Centro DFS MLB
I am
projections
playing
have been
some
updated.
of
They should be available on SaberSim in a few minutes.
Sorry about that. I don't know why it's doing that update. I have a little bit of Caratini as a one-off anyway. I have a lot of Will Smith, as I mentioned. I have Austin Nola and San Diego stacks. I have Nick Fortes and Joey Bart also even removed from stacks. I want to see where Fortes is batting. And again, I might be pronouncing that wrong. Could be Forte. First base, heaviest on Olsen. I've got a pretty good amount of Kirilloff today. Tellez, Freeman, Matt Carpenter. Those are the main ones, I guess. Ozzie Albies my highest owned second baseman. Tiara Estrada, and then it's Polanco. Then Kim for me. Third base. I love Austin Riley. Really like Manny Machado. Wilmer Flores is so cheap, it's hard to ignore the price. JD Davis would be the preferred guy if you can get up to him. Eugenio Suarez, I think, makes for a good one-off today where you're not playing, or even if you want to get a little mini stack against Heaney, I have no problem against that, but I like Eugenio Suarez to potentially hit a home run tonight. Shortstop, Chris Taylor, Carlos Correa, Xander Bogaerts, Willie Adames as the main ones. Outfield, Acuna is my highest owned player. I understand that I'm eating a little bit of chalk. I really like Acuna and I like the Braves tonight, but I also do think there's a flip side where I'm going to throw in maybe one Pivetta lineup on the other side. Pavetta can occasionally be good, and it's an Atlanta team that still has some strikeouts. So it's kind of an interesting. I'm not like going heavy on Pavetta, but I do think getting 5% of them is not a bad idea. Rosario, Ozuna, Buxton, Soto, Tatis, Mitch Haniger, Harrison Bader, Jake Bowers. Those are a lot of the outfielders for me. I am using the Yankees more on FanDuel as a stack for what it's worth than I am on DraftKings. I like the 4-man on FanDuel, and I like the 4-man with the Giants pretty well. There's a lot of ways you could make it work. What was that? Shortstop. I went through the outfielders. So that's pretty much a rundown of roughly where I'm at. Let me know what you guys are doing, and I will talk to you about some other stuff in a minute. I will touch on my man Nick. What's up, Nick? What's up, Carr? And what's up, Rich? I'm still on the fence with Heaney, but I'm playing him currently in one of my 2 biggest buy-ins on DraftKings. So I think the upside is there enough for me to just embrace a little bit of it. I just don't think if I was scripting 150 that I would want to be at. Let's see where his ownership is now. And it really is it makes a big difference every percentage. So it's going to be, according to Goldie, his projections, 20%. That's okay to take a shot on for a guy who on this slate where Ohtani has the highest strikeout rate by a huge number. To maybe take the other guy with the most upside, even though he's got the most downside as well. What twins are my favorite? Buxton, Kirilloff. I don't mind Vasquez as a catcher if you're getting the full stack in. Other bats. Kepler, Polanco, Correa. All those guys I'm playing. But Buxton and Kirilloff are the ones I have the most exposure to. Late night hammer in Seattle. Rich B, I like that. I completely like that idea. I think it's a completely viable thing. I'll point out one of the worst hitters parks in baseball, and against a guy who, when he's on, is very, very, very good. But I like the idea. I like more than a Seattle stack. I like the idea of 3-man Seattle stack. I know it's weird because Heaney can walk and really get blown up, so the full 5-man makes perfect sense. But I think that you're looking for some home runs against him anyway, and he will do that, even on good games usually. 1,500 single entry on DK. 1,500 single entry? What is the 1,500 single entry? Atlanta 4-stack. I'm totally good with that, Mike Carr, and that for that question. I don't know what that 1,500 is. If there's a 1,500 single entry that I'm missing out on, please let me know what it is, because I'd like to play a 1,500 single entry. If it was depending on how many people I don't know what is that. Was that the 1,500 contestants. I got you. Okay. So 1,500. Yeah, I think 4-man in Atlanta is completely fine. Sorry, that was just my kid and I have to respond. Sorry about that. This is when it helps to have a co-host. But we'll hopefully get our boy back tomorrow. I will. Oh, and Nick says about the Lakers. I want to touch on that game last night because that was crazy to watch. Just absolutely crazy. I honestly I don't remember watching basketball games where one team got so many better looks than the other team and looked literally like they could do whatever they want and still continued to lose. I just don't understand it. I felt this way a little bit in game 1 and yesterday. And I'm not going to go into any of these games between Golden State and the Lakers and pick the Lakers. I actually think it's going to be I think it's still a series. And I love the Lakers in general, obviously, but I'm not as in love with this team. I was absolutely excited and on fire when Lonnie Walker was going off. That was an incredible. I mean, it was so crazy because it wasn't like he was hitting shots because the other guys were covered. They were isoing him, and he was hitting step back jumpers, in the face. I was just what is happening? I don't remember a team that's now one of the favorites to win the NBA title ever have a guy who literally wasn't in the rotation 2 games before become the ISO and your go-to guy down the stretch without having scored before in the whole game. Unbelievable stuff, really unbelievable stuff. Great playoffs, great win for the Lakers, really painful one for Golden State. Really entertaining basketball either way. Just bizarre, just completely what is happening here? The whole thing, Miami and New York, it's a whole other thing. I'm excited to see Philadelphia, Boston tonight, but to give away what I'm doing in DFS is I do think I still think Philadelphia has a good chance to win this year. I've said this the whole time. I bet on the only team I bet them at 16-1. I bet an MVP for Embiid at MVP when he was 12-1. So I'm gonna keep hanging with them. But if there's a game they're gonna get smoked, this feels like a game they could get smoked. And if they're tight, I think it's a very, very dangerous thing for Boston. But I like the idea that maybe you play your DFS lineups that way. You basically just stack the hell out of the second game, hope that one stays close, which also, by the way, could turn into a blowout in certain scenarios. But what you have there is like, I think you want to try to, I know it sounds crazy, but like you want to try to get in Jokic, Durant, and Booker. It sounds nuts, but that's 200 plus fantasy points. Okay. So if you get some of the other right pieces, if PJ Tucker can get 20 for you, if TJ Warren can get 15 and Jock Londale can get 20 again, or Shamet can get 25 or something like that, or D'Anthony Melton can get 30 or something in a weird situation. Like you want to just hope that some of these guys can get there just enough, and even take your 10 points from some of them. If you get 200 plus from Jokic, Booker, and Durant, and I think that's very, very likely, I would say it's more likely than not likely, then I think you're talking about just hoping you can get the 20s out of your other guys, and maybe you get one weird outlier performance with a 30. Kentavious Caldwell Pope, Bruce Brown. These are other guys who you can include in that list. And I mentioned Melton already. Maybe you get the couple outlier, and then all of a sudden you're winning the tournament tonight. And I think it's really hard to get them in and feel comfortable. But I would embrace the discomfort. I often finish near last in the playoff tournaments, and I often finish in the top 3. It's just what happens. Like I'm going to play an extremely high risk style of potential situations, but it feels like a cashable lineup anyway if those 3 guys get you that 200 plus. And when I say the 200 plus, those 2 guys can get you 225. You know what I mean? That's on the table still. So that's the way I'm going. It was the Lonnie Walker game. It was wild. I like getting overexposed to the Phoenix guys because Booker is really playing point Booker a lot of the time here. And when that happens, it makes guys. So I am not currently playing Cameron Payne tonight because I can't get him in with these other guys. If I could, I would. I'm like 200 off of being able to do it. I would embrace the variance of the, TJ Warrens, of the Bruce Browns and the KCPs and the Landry Shamets to try to get to that 3-man combo. Robert Williams, another one, 3,900. Robert Williams very well may put up like 10 fantasy points tonight. He might also put up like 40. He's a guy who can get like 40. He's one of those crazy 3,900 price guys. Grant Williams, another one that I think has a chance to get. He had the 27 fantasy point game. That could happen again, especially if this is a Celtics blowout win. So if you're playing the Celtics blowout win angle, maybe play Grant Williams. You could still play Tucker because they're going to try and hang him in there for at least 3 quarters, and maybe look all the attention. It's just trying to get value, right? Like it's not like these are like the most exciting plays, obviously, but I do think that you can find a number of different low-owned builds where you can play these guys and feel pretty good about it. One of the big decision points I'm trying to go through is that I have literally 5 Phoenix guys on my team. At that point, I'm trying to decide between the least likely would be a Kobe. Second least likely would be Terrence Ross, although he's on my radar. The other guy who I think is going to get run, and I think I would embrace that one maybe a little bit more, could be TJ Warren. Those are some of the cheapies that I'm playing, and I'm sort of mixing and matching these guys around. Not doing it as much with the Denver guys today, just with the Phoenix guys. Denver, I'm basically playing like Jokic and either Brown or KCP. And even that's another interesting discussion because like KCP, you have the minutes. I do think Bruce Brown has more upside, and I do think there's a chance, I guess if you're playing the game, you're not really worried about the blowout angle, but it's just worth thinking about all this stuff. So I do think this is like an interesting slate. I'm actually like looking at it now, and I think I might even end up getting Cam Payne in, which is not necessarily the most exciting thing, but at least he's going to be on the court for minutes. And if that's really all I want, why wouldn't I? I guess I would rather play Derek White than Cam Payne, even though it feels wrong because Derek White hasn't gotten there since forever. I don't know actually if I would. Just you're getting such low ownership on him. I'm trying to decide. It's a tough call for me either way here. But I do like the idea of getting all of that Phoenix exposure and hoping that the bad ones like the TJ Warren or whatever get you 15 points. Maybe you hope Cameron, if you do play Payne, maybe you hope he gets you 25 or 30. But you try to get to that, and I will be playing some of the Lawndale. I also think if you're not doing the build that I suggest, that you should get exposure to DeAndre Ayton very heavily. I understand it's not like way off the board or anything, but just wanted to say I think that I don't think this is going to be this bad forever. Anyway, all right. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, the Lakers. I'll tell you what the Lakers are. They're a superstar in Anthony Davis. They're LeBron, an aging superstar who knows exactly how to pick his spots. And like 3 through 12 on their roster, or 3 through 10, are basically the same level of player. Like D'Angelo Russell, them keeping him out was the smartest thing they could do. That's another big unwritten why they deserve credit in that game. They've had Darvin Ham's had a good feel for that, and I don't think he's like some genius coach. I think he's fine as like an assistant. I don't know if still know if I love him as a coach, but I do think that they're just have a lot of really good basketball players, like a lot of guys who are good at being the others. And sometimes the others, though, on these LeBron teams means you get to be the star. Hashtag Rui Hachimura. Schroeder had his moment in the game, the play-in game, which, by the way, they don't win that play-in game, which they shouldn't have won. I mean, Minnesota handed it to them. They'd be playing. They probably would have lost to Denver in 5 early on. I think now they have a better chance of beating Denver than they did then. They just have a lot more confidence. Darvin Ham's been fine. I don't know about a wizard. This is what I'm saying. How can you be a wizard when everybody is the same level? Like their third best player is legitimately probably Austin Reeves. He's certainly the only other guy you know is going to be playing down the stretch of every game. You don't know that with Russell. You don't know that with anybody else. Schroeder is the most likely in this series, in my opinion, to be the fourth guy there. But that's pretty wild. Like, who would have thought before the year? And it's so funny. And LeBron is out here looking, I mean, literally putting up numbers that would make Russell Westbrook look like the greatest three-point shooter ever because he can't. LeBron is just awful from the outside. It's just been wild to see. I'm shocked, and I'm very impressed by how the one thing I noticed, though, is LeBron picking his spots in terms of when he's attacking has been incredible, extremely. He's just really, really amazing at it. No, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that Darvin Ham's been bad. I'm just saying that there are some in-game adjustments that I think he does very well with. I've always been a Darvin Ham guy. I liked him. I just didn't know if he was ready to coach a championship team, but he may be. And by the way, they're not there yet. I mean, just want to point out that this series isn't over, and the next one is going to be rough, no matter who it is, which I think it'll probably be Denver. I'm a Laker homer too. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Any other questions? I'll be in the premium Discord for all of you site members. And hopefully we get our man Sheets back tomorrow. We can talk some golf. The next week, we're only the following the next golf tournament after this, we got the big one, the championship. So we're going to have some big golf going on here as well. Anyway, good luck to everybody. Hope you guys have a great night, and see you guys hopefully taking